Let's check out the top 5 luxury neighborhoods in Arlington, Virginia. And I feel bad that I'm leaving a lot of neighborhoods off of this list because there's many great neighborhoods in Arlington, Virginia. However, this video, just the top 5 luxury ones. And a little background on myself, I'm a lifelong Arlington resident and also a real estate agent based in Arlington, Virginia. So I have a little bit of background knowledge for what I'm talking about here. Okay, so the top luxury neighborhood in Arlington, Virginia is going to be Country Club Hills. And that's located just north of the Washington Golf and Country Club, east of Glebe Road, Ditmar Road to the north, and then Vermont Street to the east. And overall, this is a very scenic, exclusive residential neighborhood that feels like you're miles and miles away from everything, when in reality, you're just minutes outside of Clarendon, Ballston, and DC. So the types of real estate that you're gonna see here, you're gonna have much bigger lots than a lot of these other Arlington neighborhoods. You're gonna have big houses, and it's also gonna be basically the most expensive neighborhood in Arlington. There's only about 500 houses here, but they are all very nice. And you have kind of like a combination of some of the older houses from the 50s and that time frame, and many more new construction properties. You see some really mega mansions, and that sounds bad when you say mega mansion, but this is not a neighborhood where you're seeing cookie cutter McMansions or anything like that. You're seeing some very custom, large, fancy, pretty incredible houses, to be honest. The median sales price here is going to be around $2 million, although for one of these more custom new construction houses, you're going to be looking at least $2.5 million and sometimes up to even $4 or $5 million. If you're looking at one of the older restored brick houses here, you're going to be more in like the $1.5 million range. And then, if you're just buying like a tear down, just the land, it can easily be 800, even as high as 900. And since this is a relatively smaller community, there's really not that many properties each year that even come up for sale. I mean, if I were to guess, it's probably about 20 or 25 that actually come for sale on the market every single year. A little background on Country Club Hills. So this was established around the 1920s, and it was built on just 126 acres. Like I mentioned, there's not a ton of homes out here. And most of the development happened after World War II. You also have Marymount University located in the neighborhood, and that was built in 1950. And then of course the Washington Golf and Country Club, which actually dates back to the 1890s. This is going to be a much more residential neighborhood than some of these other Arlington neighborhoods where you might walk to coffee shops and things like that. But if you're looking for a big house on a quiet street and just being minutes away from everything, then it's definitely worth checking out. The next neighborhood we have is LYON Village. And this is bordered by Lee Highway on the north, Kirkwood Road on the west, Wilson Boulevard on the south, and then North Beach Street on the east. And this is the closest residential area you can be before DC. So super convenient. And overall, this is not only a luxury neighborhood, but also one of the most popular neighborhoods in all of Arlington. And it's a very charming type of neighborhood. It has a small town feel. You'll hear a lot of neighborhoods in Arlington kind of have like that small town feel, but then you're very close to everything. However, this neighborhood has even been described as a Norman Rockwell painting with a generous budget. The sale prices here are going to range from about $800K for more of a teardown, up to about $3 million, $3.5 million for a new construction home. And the median sales price here is about 1.5. What's nice with this neighborhood as well is that you have an eclectic mix of homes. You have the older homes from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and then mixed in with some custom newer construction houses and everything in between. And then, while it's mostly residential and single family houses, you are gonna have some condos and townhouses kind of on the edge of the community. The one downside to this neighborhood versus Country Club Hills, the lot sizes here are kind of small. So they're only about 5,000, 6,000 square feet. So a lot of times you'll see one of these brand new custom houses on a pretty small lot. But it just kind of depends the layout and everything like that. Sometimes you can actually get a yard. This neighborhood is also fairly small. There's only about 700 or so properties here, and really only about 25, 35 that sell every single year. And when they do go for sale, typically they sell quickly, unless they're a new construction that's more of a speculative build where they're trying to set a new record for price points. What's also nice about this neighborhood is there's definitely a community feel here. You have a community clubhouse that hosts events and meetings and things like that. And then there's also a park, LYON Village Park, that's right there in the middle of the neighborhood. It has a basketball court, tennis court, playground. A lot of people just hang out there. The biggest draw with this neighborhood though is just how close it is to everything. So you can walk to the Clarendon Metro Station. There's a Whole Foods right there. You're walking distance to many different amenities of Clarendon, and you're just a minute or two from DC. Real quick 10 seconds before we get into the next neighborhood. If you're looking to buy or sell or have any questions about living in Arlington, shoot me a text at the number below or give me a call. I would love to assist. All right, right, next up we have ASHTON Heights. And the boundaries with this neighborhood are Route 50 to the south, North Irving to the east, Wilson Boulevard to the north, and then Glebe Road to the west. And this neighborhood is located right next to LYON Park and also Ballston. The price points here are gonna be about $1 million for an older restored house, and then upwards of 2.5 to really 3.5 for a custom new construction large house. And the lot sizes here are gonna be a little bit bigger than LYON Village. They're not gonna be huge lot sizes, about 6,000 to 7,000 square feet, but there are some houses that come with some pretty nice yards. A little background on this neighborhood: many homes here were built in the early to mid 1900s. Right after World War II in Arlington is when a lot of development happened. And then recently, over the last 5, 10, 15 years, you've seen a lot of builders come in and build, all different styles of houses. You see a lot of the craftsman style, but then there's also modern style and everything else in between. And ASHTON Heights actually does have a historic district, which is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. So you still have some of those older and Sears style homes. This neighborhood is great. It's very walkable. If you drive through the neighborhood or walk through the neighborhood, you'll see plenty of people walking their dogs. Everyone knows each other. People look out for each other. It definitely has that community feel to it. And what's great about living here is that, again, you're residential. It's mostly single family houses, but then you're right next to Ballston as well as Clarendon, which have all the amenities, more of the restaurants and things to do. There's plenty of grocery stores nearby, and also a highly recommended restaurant to check out, Pollo Rico. It's a Peruvian style chicken. Anthony Bourdain went there, maybe like 15 years ago. He loved it. As far as transportation options, there's the Clarendon and also Ballston metro station. And depending on where you are in the community, you'll be walking distance to those metro stations. But if not, you're just a few minutes away. And then there's also several bus lines. People have bikes, and a lot of people drive. It's a very easy commute to DC. Next up, we have Bellevue Forest. And this neighborhood is located between the GW Parkway, Gulf Branch, Military Road, and then Donaldson Run and the Potomac Overlook Park on the north and south. What's great about this neighborhood is it's a quiet and scenic neighborhood, and this really feels like you're far removed from the city. And in this neighborhood, there's only about 400 houses, so they don't come up for sale too often, and obviously when they do come up, it's pretty competitive. The name Bellevue Forest, it's actually pretty true to its name. If you drive through, it is like a forest-like type of setting. I'm not even joking. And there's even been bear sightings. Every now and then you have a bear sighting over there. As far as the types of homes and neighborhood, you're gonna have big lots. Most of them are gonna be around 1/4 of an acre, which by Arlington standards is pretty big. And you're also gonna have big homes. So you're gonna have some of the older houses, the brick ones, the ramblers, that are actually pretty large in this neighborhood. And then you're gonna have it mixed in with some of the newer construction. And what's nice about this, it's a forest-like setting. There's big streets, big houses, big lots. And you're not going to be walking to like metro stations and things like that, but you're just a few short drive away. And many people, since the streets are so wide, many people will walk their dogs or go for a jog and things like that. This neighborhood also started developing around the 1930s, and then with most of the development happening around the 1950s. And there's several parks in this neighborhood, and then just a short drive away is the Lee Heights shopping area, which has a few restaurants and stores. And then you're also close to the Washington Golf and Country Club. The prices here are going to range from about $1 million up to $3.5 million, with a median sales price about 1.5 for a nicely updated larger house on a scenic lot. So overall, this is a very scenic neighborhood with a lot more space. Okay, next up we have LYON Park, and the boundaries of this neighborhood are Route 50 to the south and east, 10th Street to the north, and then Irving Street on the west. And overall, LYON Park is kind of similar to LYON Village. It was developed by the same person. LYON Park is going to be a little bit bigger than LYON Village, but it still has, that kind of like small town feel to it. And then you're just outside, you're right directly next to Clarendon, minutes to DC, close to all the action, but it's still residential. And this neighborhood began development in the 1920s by Frank Lyon, who also did LYON Village. And it still has a lot of these historic houses, a lot of the Sears houses. You can drive by and see some of them. The median sales prices for homes here are gonna start at about $1 million, but most of the time they're gonna be much more expensive than that. Although you do have some condos and townhouses kind of on the edge of the community as well. The lot sizes here are not huge, but with some homes, if you drive around, you can get a bigger lot, you can get a big yard. You just have to be patient and look for the right property. What's interesting about LYON Park is that you have an eclectic mix of houses. You'll see some incredibly modern houses that look like they're from 1,000 years from now in the future. Some may like them, some may not. Then you have the craftsman, newer construction, And then you have some of the older restored houses, you have the Sears houses. So you'll see just a variety of different styles and price ranges of houses here. There's also a community center and park that's kind of in the middle of the neighborhood that has different events and holiday stuff and people renting out, different get-togethers. So again, this is like a close-knit type of neighborhood. Everybody knows everybody. You're walking around, you wave to your neighbor, you recognize a lot of people here. LYON Park is definitely worth checking out. And shoot me a text or give me a call at this number below if you have any questions about buying or selling in any of these neighborhoods or any part of the DMV or Arlington. I would love to assist. See you in the next one.